there, my name is Tori Lupinek, and you're listening to the Unclassical Musician. This is the podcast empowering the new generation of classical musicians to take risks and live a fulfilling life. Please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Tori. I am 27 years old. I live in Houston, Texas. I am a flutist with 2 1/4 degrees in performance from top institutions. I struggle with anxiety and imposter syndrome and TMJ. I am no longer a starving artist, but it would be nice to feel more comfortable financially. I have opinions about the world of classical music and how we can make it a better place. And I want to empower other musicians to take control of their own careers. I wanted to start this podcast because I noticed a pretty sizable gap in the flute world in terms of professional guidance. I assume that this phenomenon is probably similar with other instruments, but in the flute world, there's the National Flute Association, and then there's local flute clubs in your major metropolitan areas. And at that level of community service, we cater to young students with their solo and ensemble competitions and their region band auditions. And then you graduate from that level, and then we cater to the college performance majors / maybe young adult, you might call them. And at that time, it's all about learning your excerpts, learning your contemporary music, and maybe exploring different revenue streams or career options. That's like an exploratory stage, right? But then there's this gap where there is very little support for recent music graduates and adults who are trying to establish themselves and their careers. This goes to like mid-30s area, right? And then you get to the old guard and professionals who have quote unquote made it and look back on their time as a 20-something as a time of growth and romanticized notions like that. I mean, I'm not asking for anyone to hold my hand through my 20s, but it would be nice to have a little nudge in the right direction here or there, right? There are a lot of feelings and struggles during this season of our lives that I'm telling you, everyone experiences, but we are not sharing those things with others. Our teachers likely didn't share their experiences and hardships with us in that way either. Maybe because it was a long time ago for them, and time heals all wounds, as they say. But this feeling can be very isolating, especially during a pandemic, right? So we're going to break with the traditional institution of classical music, if you will. This podcast is going to provide a transparent and honest look at life as a classical musician. We're not going to be stuffy or overly academic. Let's be candid and let's learn from each other. So the point of all this and this podcast is to build a community of young professional musicians from recent music grads up through early 30s, and to act as a kind of soundboard for the issues that plague young musicians who didn't win their coveted quote-unquote job right out of school. I'm going to get us started because I am 27 and in the thick of it, and decided to start a podcast because I love listening to podcasts. But I'm going to have friends on in the future to help me break down some of the outdated thoughts and beliefs about what it means to be a classical musician in the 2020s as a 20-something. that's one more thing to keep in mind here. If you are listening to this in the future, this podcast is launching in October of 2020, in the middle of a global pandemic and the most intensely divisive U.S. presidential election in living memory. There's a lot going on right now, but rest assured, we're going to get through it together. We are going to dive deep into a topic on the minds of today's young professional musicians. All instruments are welcome here. Singers and composers too. Performance artists, feel free to tag along. This first series that I'm going to do is on lifestyle and mindset for young professional musicians. We're going to talk about burnout, and we're going to talk about self-care for musicians, because I know that's something we all struggle with, and at-home scheduling, working from home, keeping an optimistic mindset from everything from your day-to-day activities up to audition day or performance day. And we're also going to talk about the ethics of music during a pandemic. And maybe some of us are questioning some of our relevance and our beliefs as artists nowadays. Like I said, it's a tough time to be alive and it's a tough time to be an artist, but we're going to get through it together. If you have a topic that you would like to hear discussed on the Unclassical Musician, feel free to drop me a DM on Instagram at Tori Lupinek Flutist. And my name is spelled ToriLupinek, Flutist. So my Instagram is at Tori Lupinek Flutist. And that's where all of my information for this podcast is going to live on the Instagram world. You could also head over to my website, torilupinek.com/the Unclassical Musician, and there's a topic suggestion form on there that you can fill out. While you're at it, hop on over to Facebook and join our group, the Unclassical Musicians, and you can also post suggested topics there. That's kind of where we're going to be doing a lot of our community building work. So I would suggest hop on over there now. And lastly, if you are enjoying this trailer and you're interested to hear what's coming up next, just go ahead and subscribe to the Unclassical Musician on Apple Podcasts or your podcast service of choice, so that you get the first episode downloaded directly to your device when it comes out. In the meantime, take care of yourselves out there, and you'll be hearing from me soon.